Good morning, everybody. So it is Saturday morning. Today is going to be another fleet day a little bit. So we've got to get some work done on the kid's car. So this is his Honda. We bought it a little over a year ago for $1,500 on Facebook. So we've gotten pretty good use already out of it. But it had 260,000 miles on it. They claimed the engine only has about 100,000 miles on it. It doesn't smoke, burn oil, anything like that. So probably true. But since the miles are so high, there is a lot of stuff that's getting worn out on it. So when I first bought it, stabilizer link bushings were all worn out. So I replaced all four corners of those, put tires on it. I did the front brakes, and then there's a few little things on the engine that needed done. So I got that done. Also added a double din head unit. So there's navigation and a backup camera, and then replaced all the speakers. So pretty darn good car at this point. So recently, it's been having a little bit of a growling noise at the rear right. Shanna doesn't really notice it, but I can tell when we're driving with the windows down, so I think there's a wheel bearing issue. And it also has a little bit of a noise where it almost kind of bottoms out when it hits bumps. But 260,000 miles, and I'm pretty sure it's all factory suspension in the rear. So today, I'm going to go ahead and put new strut assemblies on the rear and replace the wheel bearings. So like I said, one of the problems with this is it sounds like it's bottoming out over bumps. So I'm kind of curious what the ride height is. I'm going to go ahead and measure that now and then do it again after I put the struts on and see how much of a difference it really makes. So 25 3/4 on this side. And it reads 26 1/4 on the other side. Part of that is probably just because our driveway does not have a flat spot anywhere, but I'll keep it in the same spot after the struts are on and we'll see how much it changes. So problem number one already, this car sits so low that my larger jack doesn't want to get underneath of it. I had a smaller jack, but it broke about a month or two ago and I've not got around to replacing that. So I'm gonna have to see if I can get something else to work here. Well, luckily that worked. Just had to use the scissor jack, lift about 1/4 of an inch, and then my larger jack was able to slide under and take it from there. It took me a few attempts to figure out how to somewhat safely get the old strut out. It still shocked the crap out of me when it broke free. Then as you'll see, I couldn't get the bolt holes to line up when I went to install the new one. So I gotta put the pressure on it, have it at an angle up. I need this over here, and then I need to be able to thread it out.
Like that?
Try. Let's see. Just move it all without breaking it there.
There it went. Be all pretty.
Uh-huh. That's the right way. I hope that's the right one.
We do it now?
Hold on a second.
Well, hold on. Okay.
Trying to see if it matters. Okay, it's got to be this way. So now I have to figure out how to do this.
You have to have it go down more to be able to get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I get this thing to compress. Got like another ½ inch to go.
Okay.
Well, let me see if I can get it.
Okay.
And then
you throw a bowl with it.
Yeah, since we're at least in that perch.
Which way does it go?
From the back to the front. Like I said, back and forth.
Look where half my hard drive space is.
Ultimately, I removed the bolts in the upper control arm. This allowed me to get everything lined up and then just flex the upper control arm back in position to be reinstalled. Well, these rear brakes actually look better than I expected. I figured I was going to find it all the way down to bare metal. I went ahead and ordered an all new spring kit. So I got to run to O'Reilly real quick and pick that up. And then I'm going to go ahead and put new shoes on it while I'm at it. So the brakes were supposed to be the easy part. Unfortunately, I took them all apart. They didn't look bad, but once I took the shoes off, the wheel cylinder came apart and started leaking brake fluid. So I went ahead and ran to town to get the new wheel cylinders, and of course they didn't have them in stock, so I had to order them for tomorrow. So now we're done for the day and waiting and hoping they get here in time to finish up tomorrow. You can see I got the new strut on. All the brake shoes and brake parts are off, and the wheel hub bearing is pulled. So tomorrow I just gotta get that wheel cylinder on there, put the bearing back on, and then reassemble the brake shoes, and this side will at least be done. Well, this should have been simple, but it's turned into a little more than that. Like I said, I had to get a wheel cylinder yesterday. No one had it in stock, so I ordered it for today. Now it's Sunday, and of course the part didn't show up till after 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and see how much I can get back together before it gets dark. But I'm betting I get this side together, I definitely won't have time to do the other side. So unfortunately, this is gonna go into weekdays, which sucks. And if anyone's gonna ask, I do have spring pliers specifically for this, and they have disappeared. So either I've gotta go back to town to buy another set, or make this work with normal tools. I know it's probably a generational thing, but I hate drum brakes. I work on them just infrequently enough that it seems that every time I have to relearn all the little tricks to get them back together right. The old Ford is going to get a disc brake conversion on it as soon as I can. So everything went pretty smooth on this on the back yesterday. Brakes went on good. The only thing I ran into is the lower bolt on the strut is seized inside of the bushing. So the rubber bushing is just wanting to spin instead of the bolt. So I doused it with some PB Blaster overnight. Still doesn't want to open up. So since it's still not coming off, I went ahead and got the torch out, tried heating it, still not want to go. So now I'm gonna hit it with an impact, and hopefully between the combination of all three, I can get this dang thing out. Once this one bolt comes out, throw the new strut in and I'm done. Unfortunately, this was one of the last times I got to use this torque wrench. When I went to put back together the passenger side, I picked it up and the head literally fell apart. I've had it for about 5 years, but it should have lasted longer than that. All right, well, we're all done. That was a complete pain in the butt to get that bolt out. I pretty much spent all day cycling through like a PB Blaster, heat, impact, round and round and round. Finally, when it broke free, I had to use an impact, or not an impact, excuse me. I had to use a breaker bar and actually move it about 1/8 of a turn. And then just to get the socket to fit back on it, I had to just move the socket 90 degrees, put it back on, and rotate again. Because I could get about 1/8 of a turn of just the rubber bushing flexing, and then the other 1/8 of the turn of actually bolt spinning. So then I just had to keep circling through that forever till it finally came out, but it's back together. So now I'm gonna measure it and see where it came out. It was 25 3/4 to start, and then 26 1/4 on this side to start. So 27 1/4 on the driver's side, so that's 1.5 inches gain. And 27 1/2 on this side, so about 1 inch of gain. So pretty big difference in ride height. So clean up my tools and then test drive time and wrap this project up. Well, just did the test drive and everything went pretty well. No weird noises. It stops, kind of what you want it to do after you do the brakes on them. So everything appears good, so we'll wrap this one up, and now it's time to the fun part and starting back in the house with redoing the floors.